It's really no secret that if you really want to become an expert at something or get really good at anything, you're going to have to put in hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into it. It's just not like a secret or anything that is profound or anything you probably don't even already know, right? But it seems that nowadays, or just within really the last 10 to 15 years, we have hyper conflated our attention and the attention of a lot of people, that consume just media, YouTube, TikTok, Netflix, any form of media really. And it's not just confined to short form content. This is really just a widespread kind of dilemma. But it seems like a lot of the content that is going out there nowadays is, how do I get rich fast? How do I do this in 30 days? How do I gain this much muscle in 30 days? How do I lose 20 pounds in 30 days? How do I make six figures in under 6 months? All of these things that people are putting like time constraints on these things. And it's really not so much of a principle of like, why would somebody do that? Because as human beings, we realize that our time is limited, right? We have this fundamental understanding that we're not here forever. And so obviously there are a lot of things that we want to attain. There are a lot of things that we want to accomplish and achieve. And we don't want to spend a lot of time doing so. And it makes perfect sense. I don't think anybody is necessarily lazy for having that sort of mindset, right? A lot of the productivity and efficiency nowadays requires, how can I get the most out of less time, right? The problem comes from when it comes to people actively seeking that way out of it without understanding what it is, the topic or principle of anything they're trying to say. So for example, right, I'll just use working out because that's something simply most people have had that kind of issue in their lives, right? Or kind of that scenario. So you want to lose weight, you want to gain weight. Okay. If you want to do that task, or if you want to accomplish that, what makes the most sense? To say do it as fast as possible? Probably, right? Like, how do I, gain as much muscle as fast as possible? The problem is when you go into something with that kind of mindset, you're setting yourself up for failure. And the reason why I say that is because you have never even gained muscle before. So how would you know how to do it the fastest way, even if somebody's telling you how to do it? It's like you don't have a fundamental understanding of that. So like, should you really even be looking for a shortcut to doing so? Right? Because there's probably an associated cost to that. It's not necessarily a wrong way of doing it, but more often than not, it normally is, right? There's a saying, right? The saying goes, the longest way around is the shortest way home, right? And that's typically for any facet in life. I realized even in my own childhood that a lot of the times, a lot of the suffering, a lot of the pain that I endured was all because of either people in my family, people that looked out for me, those that were trying to support me were taking shortcuts in their lives, and it was disproportionately affecting those around them. And more often than not, me as a child. And then I, obviously being raised in that kind of environment, there were many times where I kind of tested that theory for myself. And I don't know why, if something just clicked for me or I just realized like that wasn't the way to go. But I was just like, this kind of sucks, right? Like, I don't get any real satisfaction off of knowing that, yeah, I may be eating my cake now, right? But I'm gonna have to eat my vegetables at some point because it's inevitable. I can't go throughout the rest of my life not having to eat vegetables or not having to do things the right way. This is only going to set me up for my own demise and my failure, because at some point, at some principle, I'm going to have to slow this down, right? Especially if I'm having to teach somebody else this. It's going to be a house that's standing on the foundations of like sticks. It's not going to be strong at all. And it's interesting. I was watching a video of I don't know his name exactly, but he does a lot of sarcastic humor types of content. And anyways, in this video, he was talking about how have you ever noticed how Netflix documentaries are so beyond the original scope of what's actually happening? So, for example, like let's say they're interviewing, World War or Pearl Harbor, a documentary on that. And so the interview may start with like people that were actually there, first world or first view accounts, perspective, historical documents, you know, uh, educated and credited experts, people that have skin in the game and have really made this even their personality or have lived the experience. So what Netflix has started doing is that they know that deep down, you're not going to be paying attention maybe more than 10 minutes after the video starts, or really after the third or fourth episode of the series. So what they do is they'll start interviewing people that are like internet experts or like Facebook group admins. Like what like okay, don't get me wrong. I'm all for hearing the opinion of a hobbyist, I think. But at this stage in the game, like at this topic, at this length, like I don't think I want to. I don't want to hear 30 minutes of a Facebook admin expert, topic expert like on this subject. But the thing is, they know that at this point you're already clocked out. You're washing your dishes, you're cleaning your room, you're doing whatever, you're getting busy, whatever it is on this topic of discussion. And even it's not like necessarily, I realize that it's not necessarily directly related to what I started the content of this video on, but it's very adjacent to the extent that your attentiveness to being committed to something behavioral wise is being constantly exploited, and it's to your disadvantage, right? So I mentioned that with working out, right? Like, I always have this thing when it comes to fat people. And, it is what it is, man. If you're fat, don't mean any harm by it, but you're fat, whatever. If you're a fat person and you understand this and you acknowledge this, right? I can understand that and if you struggled in that way to always lose weight, I've never been fat. My issue was always being very skinny, very lean. And it wasn't until I improved my relationship with dieting overall that I fixed that problem ultimately. It wasn't that I just like temporarily found this diet where I ate like X amount of eggs per day, or I, didn't like limited my activity so low that I had to be forced to gain weight, or, I just did this, whatever method was out there that realistically didn't really inherently fix a problem, right? And that's the issue. It's that we're trying to do things without actually getting to the root cause of the issue. We're trying to band-aid everything. And unfortunately, we think that that's the right way to go ahead and do things because we kind of been programmed in society to do so. And I'm going to be honest, we've seen a lot of people get rewarded for not actually bringing any kind of value into things, especially in modern day society. And, you could argue whether or not, like, if people value it, it is actually valuable. But I feel like that's a two-pronged kind of scenario, right? Because there's actual intrinsic raw value out of something, and is there something that's valuable because, enough people agree that it's valuable, right? So the difference between that is like, for example, like, I wouldn't necessarily classify this kind of content or my kind of channel being an inherent, value to society as much as being a doctor and saving lives is, or a police officer, or some kind of enablement societal structure that is, by any means or by any argument, of course, more necessary or the most necessary. So, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but the point I'm trying to make ultimately is that it's kind of like I said earlier, right? And I'll say it again. The longest way around is the shortest way home. Really kind of stop and think about some of the things that, you've been doing. I mean, I've been guilty of, right? Just taking the shortcuts of things, right? When actually at the end of the day, you're supposed to gruel. You're supposed to like kind of get frustrated with how hard things are or how difficult they're supposed to be at times, because that's how you gain the actual fundamental experience to, reference that, and not only reference that, but just be able to master things, right? Because that's at the end of the day what it's all about for many things, right? You want to be able to master topics. You want to be able to master different areas or different things in your life. You don't just want to be able to do X, Y, and Z in 30 days because that doesn't teach you any tangible skills to when that method or something in that formula doesn't work anymore. You won't know how to adapt. You won't know how to, survive. It's fundamentally flawed. I would even argue it's like a devilish way, right? It's not godly in any shape or form, and not to make it religious, but just in the sense that things that require a long gratuitous effort of not seeing your results right away, but having the faith to understand that it will work out. In essence, that is a godly way of seeing things. And so the devilish way of doing is the opposite, right? It's having the results or the satisfaction of the results without much effort or work applied, or not really an understanding of how those things happen, right? Which some people will like would have argued back then. It's like that's what witchcraft is, right? It's like, oh, so making something out of thin air, right? Obviously exaggerating again, but I think you guys understand that point. In my own personal life, I've always shied away from that. I never liked, cheating even on exams where I had the clear way, because fundamentally deep down, I knew that I didn't deserve that grade. Like I didn't earn it. And look, I'm not here to say, put on your goody two shoes, spinning wheel or spinning fan hat or whatever, and I'm as straight as an arrow or anything in that regard. Obviously, I've done some things I'm not proud of. I've done some things that I wish, damn, why didn't I just do it the right way like I was supposed to? And I would have came out a better person for it. But it's just through those experiences that I kind of realized like it's really worth it to do things correctly in that way, because again, it just goes back to that principle. There's many other things like, I would say now, even in video games that's being exploited, it kind of, like I said, this topic's very adjacent to the attention. So I think that's why I keep going back and forth on it. But anyways, yeah, even video games to that extent are very much exploited in that way. It's not even so much about the skill or the anything anymore. Like if you look at modern day Call of Duty, I'm going to be brutally honest. If you're still buying Call of Duty or still playing the most recent active Call of Duty, you're really just a shill for Activision and Microsoft to you're just really like a profit, right? That all this, like, I just can't understand that all these cosmetic things and all these like different armor, weapons, I don't even know. Like I may sound ignorant saying this, I don't even know, but it just goes to my lack of understanding, but my understanding of how they view you as basically monetary cattle, right? There's no understanding that, oh, okay, these are actual gamers, these are actual people that are passionate about the product or players. No, they're just looking at you like to increase shareholder revenue. This is nothing beyond the fact of actual corporate exploitation, And that's why a lot of people complain about video games and the cycle of it. It's just the rinse and repeat cycle. They have mastered it effectively, right? And I'll make another video on this point, because it's another thing that I really want to talk to people about, or kind of put that message out there. And it's simply that, I'll just say it in this video, but it's just, you are also dictating why things are getting more expensive, and also dictating why things are so bad, right? And I'm not saying you watching this video have likely played a part in it, just like I've played a part in that, just like, your friends and family have played a part in that. If you are a consumer and you're willing to pay the price for something that's not even a necessary, wow, I can't even talk, a necessity as far as like, groceries, living expenses, anything that doesn't require you to actually have, then you're causing part of that problem. If you're paying $70 for the new Assassin's Creed or the new a game or whatever, a new console that's going to be priced at this amount, and you go out there first day and you buy it because you want to be recognized as that guy that has that thing, then you're a part of that problem, because the company understands that you and an X amount of people are going to be the consumer target price or target audience that are going to be willing to pay that.
So they are going to price things at that way because they know that you're going to buy it, right? And they know that you're going to be that person that's going to sit there and post it on Instagram and stuff and be that guy for amongst all your friends. And, how much is that really worth it at the end of the day, right? Like, if I see something, and look, guys, I make a decent salary. I make 6 figures. I'm comfortable. I'm not paying for something that I know is not worth the actual value in between labor costs, materials, and hours, right? And that gets fluctuated depending on the brand, right? The quality, because that's also calculated as a part of that. But also to the extent of what does it actually cost for them to make, right? That's why luxury brands are all it costs them like a tenth of the cost to make the material in most cases. But there are people are paying for it because it just makes them feel good, right? They're exploiting that from you. There's no sense to pay $70 for a video game. I'm sorry. There's no physical product. There's no physical media. There's hardly, from my understanding, any real like traditional publishing that is going on there. It's literally just like a Steam store. It's all digital. What is the actual cost there other than the shareholder revenue from increasing? These companies need to lose money. They need to be competitive to make a great product. So stop paying for things that are not good. We have like really, I had a friend that was watching me play Modern Warfare 2 on Discord. I was just live streaming it, right? He was watching me play. He was like, "Did you mod this? Like, are these updated graphics? Did you like change the like graphics on this?" I was like, "No, man. This is the default, extra high whatever settings from a game that was made in 2009. This like." And I was like looking at it, I was like, dude, this for 2009, these graphics, this engine, these physics are done incredibly well. Look at Halo 3. Look at the physics of things breaking and the materials and the elements still being physically in the game, and being rendered and being able to be manipulated in a way. And then look at like Halo Infinite, that arguably took a lot more money and a lot more time to be created. And it just feels like two or three steps under from a game development like physics engine standpoint, right? It does not feel natural. It feels like a regression. And the reason why it feels like a regression is simply because all they're doing is making a product that's gonna just pull you in the moment temporarily. They're just trying to get you to go back to it and pay more money over the course and the length of the game. That's all they're trying to do, right? This is why I play games like Gears of War, Halo 3, Modern Warfare 2, because these games, they don't retroactively try to exploit you in that same sense, right? It's a game about just simply, okay, it's standard, the same. If I do want to have a cosmetic item, I'll pay for it, but there's no pressure, there's no, hard incentive of, okay, well, you're going to have to, pay this and that, and battle pass this, and then, oh, wow, new content that, and oh, if you get this, you can't get this without that, and you can't, like, it doesn't get convoluted. It's very straightforward to the point. And I feel like it's not racking in this, like, the crazy, oh, things are always going on and happening, right? Like, that's also, like, a huge part of things that are being exploited. But, I just kind of lost focus on the point there. But you also vote with your wallet, guys. This is not like the companies are getting greedier, yes, but you are actually paying for these things as well. It goes both ways. Why would a company reduce the prices of things that if they know that somebody's going to pay a certain price for, right? Like, if I know that, it costs X amount of dollars for me to do this job or me to do this thing, right? But I know that you're going to pay this amount for it because you really want this from me, that I'm going to be like, okay, here you go. Here's a price for it. Call it greed, call it immoral, but that's capitalism 101. The flip side to that is that if you acknowledge, hey, Brian's selling me this thing for this amount, and he makes great stuff, he makes a great product, but man, for dollar what it's worth, this is not worth it. This is not worth it at all, right? This is also a part of the reason why I feel like, companies aren't, there's a multifaceted issue in there, companies not raising wages and stuff, but it also has to do with this facet of increasing shareholder revenue, right? Like, don't be a shill anymore. Don't be exploited. Stop being a sucker to your own, impulsive reactions. Have control, right? If a game or something is coming out and you really anticipated, you really wanted it, right? And you're looking at the reviews, you're looking at how cool the gadgets and their technology is, or all the people making content about it. And you're like, man, I can afford this, but, it'll kind of, it'll ding my account in a little bit. If that's the feeling that you're getting out of it, don't stop. Like, don't even buy it, right? If you're like at that point, right? I'm not telling you what to exactly do with your wallet, but I'm also just making a fair point that if you're complaining that things are expensive and it's not in the realms of groceries and any of that stuff, right? Because that's a whole entirely different way and entirely different market. But even to that extent, some of what I'm saying is true in that, right? But I'm talking about more so for wants, entertainment, just things that shouldn't cost as much as they do, right? And I think everybody can understand, what I'm saying in that regard. And, we've all been guilty of it. I'm not coming and saying that, like, I can't believe this is what you guys did. I've paid for so many things that I'm like, why did I buy this? Why did I even pay for this at this cost? I've seen things on Amazon that I paid like 30 to 20% more than what I should have paid for it. And not because the item went on sale, but simply because that they just knew, whether it was the season, the kind of consumer I was or kind of person I was, that I was going to pay for it, right? So, just have more reflex over what you're doing with your money, because it really does matter, right? There are a whole bunch of people right now, I'm sure you guys have heard of this, right? And if you're one of these people, really stop doing this, because it's not to your benefit. It's actually a psychological harm, I feel like, that's going to be done to you over time. Just the fact that you are paying with something with Buy Now, Klarna, Afterpay, if you cannot afford to buy something, stop paying with Afterpay or credit or anything that does not belong to you, right? The whole point of a credit card, at least nowadays for financial literacy purposes, is to establish a line of credit to say, hey, I'm a person that is going to be able to pay this back. And the only way you can confidently pay something back is if you already have the means and funds to do so already, right? So stop being a show for these companies. Don't be a debt slave, right? There should be no reason why you are acquiring things that have a maintenance cost or have, an associated cost for, more than what it's worth. Same thing with cars, same thing with pets and animals. Just because something costs $100 doesn't mean that it's only going to cost you $100 over the history of you owning it, right? A house is a perfect example. A lot of people look at the price of a house. Oh yeah, we can afford it. Lawn care, home insurance, this kind of maintenance, AC maintenance. I think I already said lawn care, but it goes on, right? Home insurance. I think I've already said that too. These are things that are top of mind, but there's so many things that come. HOA, this, that, and the third. Furniture, home appliances, internet. Like I'm going off of the list, but there are a lot of things, guys, when it comes to owning a home that you have to take into consideration, right? But that's the thing. I don't think that in this country, at least, but really more so in our generation, we are really financially equipped financially with the literacy to understand what we are doing with our money. So I kind of want to end the video here because I'm kind of going on a tangent of a couple things, but all of these things, right, are all related, right? I'll say it again. The longest way around is the shortest way home. If you cannot afford something, don't buy it. And that principle not only goes for something monetarily speaking, but also for the things that I discussed earlier, working out, getting in shape, learning a skill. You're trying to essentially buy your way or trying to pay your way into something that you cannot afford. It's just in a different sense. So Guys, something to think about. Let me know about your comments. Let me know if you have any personal experience with any of the aforementioned topics. As always, like the video if you like the video. Don't if you don't. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.